During the mid-90s, Wu-Tang Clan was taking the hip-hop world by storm. The clan's members were branching out with their own projects, and many were instant classics. One of their sharpest lyricists, Inspectah Deck, was about to drop what could have been his classic solo album. Then tragedy struck. This is the story of Uncontrolled Substance's original version, the lost album we never got to hear. After the release of 36 Chambers in 1993, Wu-Tang was unstoppable. RZA was at the center, producing not just for the group but for every member's solo project, and during this stretch he was untouchable, on one of the greatest production runs in hip-hop history. Among those solo projects was Inspectah Deck's debut album Uncontrolled Substance, planned for a 1995 release, but behind the scenes, label complications with Loud Records started to push things back. Deck got caught in the shuffle as the label focused on other big projects at the time. And then came the real disaster. RZA's basement studio flooded. In fact, he's mentioned in interviews that it happened twice.
I had two floods. The first one is actually 93, after Wu was out already, and I'm making Meth album, and then Deck album, and just have all those albums was already pre-made.
RZA has never gone into full detail about which flood caused what, so most people just clump the two together as one. But what we do know is that hundreds of beats were lost. And while RZA managed to save and rebuild material for other projects, Inspectah Deck's album took the biggest hit. Uncontrolled Substance was essentially wiped out, forcing Deck to start over from scratch.
RZA had a flood in his apartment, lost my whole first album.
With so much material gone, RZA had to spread his energy across multiple projects. Other Wu-Tang members still needed beats, features, and production, and RZA was in the middle of one of the busiest runs of his career. For Inspectah Deck, that meant his album kept getting pushed to the side. By the time work on Uncontrolled Substance picked back up in 1997, 2 years after its original planned release, it wasn't even built entirely on RZA's production anymore. The original album was also supposed to have a Spider-Man theme. Deck has said the concept was built around the neighborhood Spider-Man vibe, rooftops, nighttime New York, the sounds of the city, but that vision was scrapped.
We had the Inspectah Deck album and we were going to go off of the whole Spider-Man theme.
After years of delays and rebuilding, Uncontrolled Substance finally dropped in October of 1999. The finished version had production from multiple producers, with Deck stepping in to produce a large portion himself. In the end, the album contained just 3 RZA beats. Unlike other Wu-Tang solo albums, the album didn't feature many of the clan's biggest names. The most notable guest appearances came from Master Killa and U-God, giving the project a smaller Wu presence than fans might have expected. The album was well received by fans and critics, with many praising Deck's sharp and powerful lyricism, but it still failed to reach the legendary status of the Purple Tape or Liquid Swords. This left many fans wondering what if the album had dropped in 1995 at the height of Wu-Tang's momentum, and what if the project had been fully produced by RZA in the middle of his historic run?
Where would Deck's album rank if you had the original music? Where would it rank in the Wu-Tang discography?
If we would have had the production and the vibe of what his album would have been, then I'm sure he would have had a classic in the ranks of Cuban Link and Liquid Swords.
Wow.
Through all of this, the floods, the lost material, the label drama, Inspectah Deck never turned this into a public blame game. He's been humble and resilient.
Most of us, you're gonna have to take the L and bounce back. And it's all about how you bounce back from shit. I took that L with the Uncontrolled Substance album.
Yes.
But there's no interview, there's no record of me out there bitching and complaining about none of this shit. There's no record of me trying to shit on RZA.
Uncontrolled Substance may not have gone platinum, but Inspectah Deck's legacy isn't just defined by that album. It's defined by the verses that made him one of Wu-Tang's sharpest lyricists and one of hip-hop's most respected MCs.
I mean, look, I bomb atomically.
Come on,
Socrates,
man.
philosophy.
And high prophecies can't divine. I'll be dropping these mockeries, lyrically perform armed robberies. Like, God, that was just stupid.
Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to support the channel, consider donating. Even $1 goes a long way. These videos take a lot of time to research and edit, so every bit of support is truly appreciated.